The Detroit Pistons snapped their losing streak finally, and what's even better about it is it came against what is likely the hottest team in the entire NBA in the Boston Celtics on their home floor. What's even better than that, which we'll talk about in the opening segment of the podcast, is two players looked like they were fitting pretty well tonight together on the floor. Who am I talking about? Let's find out on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I just want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button over at the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't hit the subscribe button already, what are you waiting for? Go down there, hit that red button. It's the best way to support the podcast. I would really appreciate it. We are closing in on 2,000 subscribers. And I'd like to get there sooner than later and continue to show everybody we are the best fan base at the Locked On Network. Fun game tonight, or last night when you guys listened to this, against the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have been probably the hottest team in the entire NBA over the last month and a half or so, coming in, like I said, just burning hot. And of course, the Pistons on a mega losing streak, struggling, come in and upset them on their home floor. It was really good to watch. And I think the biggest takeaway from this game, we have a lot of things we'll talk about tonight. Kelly Olynyk had a good game. Is this going to be a sign that he's coming back to full strength? But there's one thing I want to talk about that I think matters a lot here for tonight, and at least for, or not tonight, but at least for last night's game. I don't know if it'll continue to happen moving forward, but at least for last night's game, it was extremely fun to watch and made it much more enjoyable for the viewer to watch. And that was the play of Cade Cunningham and Jerami Grant together on the floor. It's been much talked about. I've talked about it a lot on the podcast about how these two players just don't fit together. I really wanted to see Jerami move because they don't fit together. Jerami needs the ball in his hands. He wants the ball in his hands, and it just isn't very good when he does. And the offense doesn't look as good when he has the ball in his hands either. However, against the Boston Celtics, Jerami shot 8 of 13 from the floor. He had 24 points. He had 4 free throws, all 4 of his free throws, and he hit the go-ahead game-winning spin-around jumper with 19 seconds left. Now, was I ecstatic to see that play call and that shot go up at 19 seconds? No, I'd be sitting here lying to you guys if I told you guys that. But he hit it. The bigger point, though, is that was one of the only times that you saw the ball in Jerami's hands in an ISO type of situation where he just took it and tried to create his own shot. That's fine. That was one of the only times. Another time was earlier in the game, and it was a long two off the rim. Not a good shot. But the fact that only happened twice throughout the game, at least to my memory, and for the majority of the night, Jerami fit in with Cade Cunningham as he was the primary ball handler. He fit in off ball. He cut off ball. He had one really nice cut to the rim when Cade found himself in trouble. He span around, dumped it off to Jerami, cut him right down the middle. He had a dunk. He hit 4 threes tonight. I believe all 4 of those threes he made were off of kickouts from somebody, not him trying to create his own shot. It was off of kickouts and making the extra pass from somebody. So it was really fun to see this because Jerami is capable of doing this. Now, again, I don't believe that he's going to continue to do this the rest of the season. I think it's going to be something he struggles with. And eventually when he gets moved in the offseason, I think he'll probably convert to doing this more often once he gets a contending team. But like I said, just for last night, just for viewing purposes, for last night's game and for the Pistons to get a W, a big part of why they got a W was because Cade and Jerami were able to fit together. Cade was a +1 on the floor. Jerami was a +5 on the floor. They played really well together. When Cade has the ball in his hands, orchestrating the offense, initiating the offense, he had 6 assists tonight. Jerami Grant is capable of scoring, and it's kind of the same thing we talked about with Saddiq Bey. We've talked a lot about with Saddiq, is that Jerami is capable of scoring. He can go out there. He'll probably score somewhere between 14 to 18 points simply from playing within the offense, simply from getting the ball in the extra passes or cutting to the lane or taking what the defense gives you, letting other guys create for you. He's capable of just getting 15 to 18 points a game doing that efficiently. Tonight, he shot 8 of 13. He had 24 points on 13 shots. Extremely efficient. And the reason why that happened is because he just played within the offense. He didn't force the offense to go to him. He didn't try to create his own shot many times outside that late game winner, which, hey, give it up to him. It was a heck of a shot. Love to see it, especially for a Pistons win. It was fun to see. However, a lot of it came from him just fitting into the offense and letting Cade create for stuff. Cade wasn't very efficient tonight. He shot 8 of 22 from the field, 20 points overall. He had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. It was another struggle for him. Early on, he got quick 2 fouls in the first 1 minute of the game. He started off the game 0 of 3, but he started to heat up a little bit, started to play a little bit better. The team trusted him with 2 fouls out there, and he made them. He rewarded them. He was able to play 36 minutes. And how many fouls did he end up with? He ended up with 5 fouls, but I believe he didn't pick up his third one until like midway through the third quarter. So it was really good to see that from Cade, him be able to be mindful of what of the situation he was in out there, not pick up another foul and screwing the coaching staff over for believing in him. He rewarded them, and that was good to see. But by far, the biggest takeaway from this is the fact that Jerami and Cade played really well together tonight. If Jerami can continue to do that, if he can continue to fit into the offense, just be another part of a flowing offense, the team will look better with him on the floor. He'll look better on the floor. The team probably will be in more competitive games like this. And it will be a much more enjoyable watch for the Pistons. So that's my biggest takeaway. I really like seeing that from him. Like seeing that from Cade as well. It was a fun win, a mega win for the Pistons again against the Boston Celtics on their home floor, the hottest team in the entire NBA. It was looking rough there for a second. Al Horford is pretty damn good still. He's really damn good. But overall, the play of the Pistons, 3 top scorers, Cade Cunningham, Jerami Grant, and Saddiq Bey. And the fact that Jerami and Cade Cunningham and Saddiq, we've talked about him fitting with Saddiq. The fact all of them were able to fit together and play well together and play within the offense, it was really nice to see. It led to a Pistons W. Saddiq also had 20 points on just 13 shots. It was really nice to see, and hopefully we see that moving forward. I'm going to watch for it. I'm not hopeful that's going to happen, but hey, for at least now, we can be happy. We can be happy right now. We can be happy with the win, and I'm sure a lot of us enjoyed watching last night's game more than any other game, not just because they won, but because of the reason I just laid out. The offense just looked a lot more free-flowing. It looked a lot more fluid, and that's something that we haven't seen a lot this year, and we were able to see that against one of the best teams in the entire NBA. So a lot of fun there. When we come back, we'll talk about Kelly Olynyk, who had 15 points and 6 rebounds off the bench against his former team in just 17 minutes of play. Is this going to be the sign that he's going to start turning things around? We'll talk about that coming up, along with some of his other bench players that played a decent game in last night's win against the Boston Celtics. But first, I have to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, BetOnline.net. The football season is finally over with Matthew Stafford, my guy, my quarterback, winning the Super Bowl, baby. But basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fire coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. So again, head to their website today, betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast. I would really appreciate it. We are closing in on 2,000 subscribers. So I really would like to hit there sooner than later and continue to show that we are the best fan base at the Locked On Network, the fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, if you haven't already, head to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. But Jerami Grant and Cade Cunningham weren't the only ones who had a good game last night against the Boston Celtics. Saddiq Bey had a really nice game as well. 20 points and just 13 shots, 5 of 8 from deep, 11 rebounds. Saddiq, I'll say this about Saddiq real quick. Saddiq, I really love, we've talked about Saddiq a lot over the last few weeks because of how well he's played. I've talked about his free throw shooting. But another thing I'd really like to see from Saddiq recently that he started to do a lot this year is that he just asserts himself on the boards too. He knows how strong he is, and he knows the Pistons lack size up there, and not a lot of guys want to get rebounds. Jerami Grant only ended up with 2 rebounds. He's not he's a bad rebounder. But Saddiq Bey tries his hardest to make up for it. And in fact, he ended up with 11 rebounds tonight. One of them came on a tip shot late in the fourth quarter, I believe, to tie the game for the Pistons. I really like to see that from Saddiq, and it's just more and more and more things. I feel like game after game after game, Saddiq is just showing me more things that just make me really happy with his progress this season. Because, again, we know how the season started off for him, but he's just game after game after game has gotten better, and better. And I love to see that from him. He also had 6 assists tonight as well. That's just, and no turnovers. Saddiq's really good. He's starting to become really good. He's getting a lot better. He's learning how to make the right pass, the extra pass. A lot of times we watch Saddiq earlier in the season, he'd hold the ball, ISO, all that kind of stuff. Now he's doing much better at immediately catching the ball. If the extra pass is there, he's immediately letting it go. I really like Saddiq over the last few months, man. He's played really well, and I'm happy to see this from him. Extremely happy to see this from him. Isaiah Stewart had a decent game. He had 3 quick buckets to start the game because of the Pistons noticing mismatches, which we talked about on the last podcast. The Pistons need to do a better job of noticing mismatches now that they have Marvin Bagley. But Isaiah Stewart was able to do it a little bit in this game early on, and he got 3 quick post-ups and 3 quick scores because of it. He was a little bit quiet the rest of the game. But that's the kind of progress I want to see, not just from Isaiah Stewart, but from the team noticing mismatches. They still didn't do a great job of that tonight, but I thought seeing that early with Isaiah Stewart, I really like seeing that. I thought that was a nice step in the right direction. But Kelly Olynyk, in just 17 minutes of action, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 3 of 4 from deep, played probably his best game in months. He looked really good tonight. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm not sure if this is because he's feeling healthier or he's going to be okay moving forward now, or if it was because he's back in the arena that he played years upon years upon years for, and the team he played years upon years for, and against teammates that he played with for years upon years. Part of me, I'm not going to lie, is leaning towards that. When you play against your former teammates, you get a little extra chip on your shoulder. You want to come out, you want to play a little bit better. So part of me feels like that's probably what it is. So I want to see how he reacts after the All-Star break. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of time to rest up and try to get back to full strength. I believe this is the Pistons' last game, right? This is the last game they play until they go and play Cleveland after the All-Star break on Thursday, the 24th of February. But yeah, he's going to have plenty of time to heal up. It was great to see this from him. He provided that needed spacing the Pistons have been asking for, and he was getting. He was feeling himself a little bit out there. There was a few plays as well where he went out there and did some crazy stuff. So I like seeing that from Kelly. Like seeing him play a little bit better, obviously. And it was good to see him kind of have a game to go into the All-Star break feeling good about himself, whether it was because it was against his old team, he started to play a little bit harder or whatever the case may be. In just 17 minutes of action, he played really well against his former team, which has to feel good. And they got the win against his former team. So I'm sure he's feeling really good going into the All-Star break. And I'm one of those people who believe going into an All-Star break, just having like momentum. I'm a believer in momentum and the way you feel going into things. I think him going into All-Star break, having this as the game that he, is going into there with, I think that will do a lot of good things for him. I'm one of those guys who believe in that kind of thing. So great to see from him. The rest of his bench players, Hamidou Diallo had a really rough night, shot 2 of 9 from the floor. He's struggling really bad with tunnel vision. It's one of those things that it's not only hurts the team, but it's hard to watch because there's a lot of times where guys will be open and he just doesn't make that pass. He doesn't look to make that pass. He's just looking to score. And when the Pistons were with 5 G leaguers and didn't really have anybody, that was all fine and dandy. But, specifically in the lineup, there was a lineup in the fourth quarter that I really loved seeing. And it was Killian Hayes, Kay Cunningham, Marvin Bagley, Kelly Olynyk, and Hamidou Diallo. Now, I probably would have liked to see Hamidou Diallo subbed out for Saddiq Bey, but obviously it was because of rotation stuff. Saddiq was finally getting his rest. But that lineup right there, I thought was cool, and it was doing fine to start off. But Hamidou Diallo had a sequence where he took a 3 instead of skipping it to the corner for Killian. And I guess both of them are not very good shooters. So, I mean, I guess you live with whichever one decides to shoot it. And then also right after that, he dribbles into a contested mid-range shot that misses, and the Boston Celtics took advantage of both of them. A really horrific sequence from Hamidou there. Not a good night from him. Hopefully we see a little bit a better play down the stretch from him. I'd like to see his tunnel vision improve. Killian Hayes had an okay night. Shot 2 of 6 from the floor, 4 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, had a steal. Wasn't awful, but wasn't good. He missed a few open shots from beyond the arc. Actually, they didn't count any of them for three. So I'm assuming he has his foot on the line on all of those. That's something he has to improve on. He has to stop doing. But he missed them anyways. So he didn't have the greatest of nights. But Marvin Bagley, there was one play that I want to talk about with Marvin Bagley. And you guys know where I'm going with this. Cade Cunningham and Marvin Bagley ran a pick and roll. And Cade Cunningham, I think it was like the first pick and roll that he ran with Bagley that game. Throws an alley-oop to Bagley, and Bagley yams it on somebody. I forget who it was. He yams it on somebody, gets the and one. I almost started crying, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I almost had tears run down my cheeks because I have been begging for this the entire season. And you know, it clearly was a massive need for the Pistons, but I started to think to myself recently that maybe the reason why it was showing off so much for me, because a lot of people I feel like started coming onto that movement, the lob threat movement, like a few months after the season started, where I was in that the entire offseason. I think I started to think to myself, maybe I was because I focused so much on that and it's hurt me so much not to see it because I was used to it for so long with Andre Drummond on the team and how much of a feature that was of the offense, him being able to catch lobs and throw it down and throw it over defenders and stuff. They just completely didn't have that at all over the past, 2 years or year and a half now since Andre's been gone. And it was killing me. It was literally just hurting me seeing it open and the possibilities be there, and we just don't have a guy who's capable of doing it. And Marvin Bagley is one of those guys who can do it. I hope they continue to find ways to use him. He had a decent night. He was 3 of 7 from the floor. He missed his first 3 shots, and all 3 of those shots that he missed to start the game are shots I feel like he probably would want back. I think he can make all 3 of those. 2 of them rimmed down. Another one was an in-between shot he pushed. I feel like he probably could have just took one dribble in and dunked that one. But I thought it was a fine night from him. They've started to play him a little bit longer stretches. He led the bench in minutes with 23 minutes played. Nice to see that. They're starting to give him a little bit more of a rope and some leash. I'm assuming you'll probably see that get even longer when they come back from the All-Star break. They'll probably have better ways. Obviously, they'll have practices and they'll be more accustomed to him. And they'll probably, hopefully, will have a better way of using him and utilizing his strengths. But I think Pistons fans like what they've seen from him thus far. He ended the game with 6 points and 6 rebounds. Not as I guess, a big night as the other night. We had just 10 points and 8 rebounds in 20 minutes of play. But still, I thought it was a decent night, and you already can see how he can help the team. He needs to improve in multiple areas still. The Pistons should focus on that, obviously. That's the part of him being in their development staff will have to focus on that, and hopefully they pull it together. But simply the player he is now can already help the Pistons. You already saw that on that alley-oop from Cade to him. It was a really nice play, a fun play. I think it was the first. I'm trying to remember. Has Cade thrown an alley-oop to anybody this season? I don't think he has. Has he at least completed? He might have tried to throw one, but has he completed one this season? I don't think so. I think that might have been the first one. At least I can remember. So that was fun to see. And, just continues to add on to what was a great night for the Pistons and a win against the Boston Celtics, 112-111 on their home floor. When we come back, we'll recap the rest of this game and preview forward into the All-Star break and what I'm interested in seeing in the All-Star break. And just to go ahead and give you guys a spoiler, it probably does include one of the Pistons rookies. Or, yeah, their only rookie, actually. Right? I don't think they have another rookie who's currently playing. Either way, it's about Cade Cunningham. You guys know what I'm talking about. When we come back. But first, I have to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto sports store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless and seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait, while the person behind the counter orders the parts on the computer, choosing the only brand in their warehouse that happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store, but only $216 on Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselves for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you can need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. For example, we encourage you to discover your own car part needs, discover how Rock Auto can help, and share Go explore their easy to use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Make sure you write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button over at the YouTube channel. It's the best way to support the podcast. Continue to show that we are the fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. Again, go to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, man, I think this might have been one of the funner games of the season from the Pistons, just because of all the things we've mentioned already into the podcast and the fact that they were able to win this game. Just some broader takeaways from the game that I thought were interesting just as a viewer, not just as a Pistons fan, but just as someone who was watching the game and having fun. Al Horford is pretty damn good still. Like, how old is he now? Like 36 years old. I think he might have been the best player on the floor for the Boston Celtics. He had 19.7 rebounds, 7 assists. There are a few plays that he completely just – there was 2 plays late where he switched out onto Cade Cunningham, and Cade thought he had a mismatch, and Al Horford just stifled him. Like, he completely just locked him up. Al Horford's really damn good, man. He's been really good for a long, long time. Like, I remember watching him when I was a real young kid when he first came to the Atlanta Hawks. So the fact that he's this good now still, and he's still doing like the little tiny things that most people don't do and won't notice, like being able to move your feet. I thought that was really fun to watch. That's just one. I know it's not Pistons related, but that's just one of the things I had fun watching tonight, because Al Horford is one of those players. You guys know I like looking at the tiny stuff. I always mention like the minor things that maybe most people don't care about on the box score. But I enjoy watching it. And those 2 plays that he pulled on Cade, I thought it was like, damn, Al Horford's like 36 and he's still doing this. Damn, he's pretty damn good still. But yeah, the Pistons were able to survive 31 points from Jaylen Brown on 12 of 21 shooting and still get the win. Grant Williams, I didn't know was shooting that well from beyond the arc. Apparently, he's a sniper now. I had no clue. I need to do better with my NBA, not just the Pistons, but across the NBA knowledge, because I did not know Grant Williams was out here sniping it like that. But that's basically all my thoughts on the game. The Pistons end their 8-game losing streak, snapped the Celtics' 9-game winning streak because of Jerami Grant's go-ahead game winner with 19 seconds left. Actually, there's one other thing I want to say. This is the one negative thing you guys get on the podcast so far. Killian Hayes was subbed into the game with like 12 seconds left in the game, and the Pistons were inbounding. Now, you guys remember just like a few months, like last month or a month and a half ago, we were told by Dwayne Casey the reason why Cade Cunningham was inbounding the ball in one of these late game situations instead of having the ball in his hands is because he wanted to have their best. They want always to have their best inbounder passing in the ball. And my argument or counter argument that night on the podcast to you guys was, I'm sure a lot of you guys remember this, is Cade's your best scorer. If you want your best inbounder, just sub Killian in, and then you have Cade on the floor. At least you can use Cade's gravity, and Killian's probably your best inbounder anyway. It's probably better than Cade. I think we'd all agree with that. Just sub Killian in. So when I saw Killian getting subbed in at the end of the game, I'm like, okay, they must be subbing him to inbound. Nope. They didn't do that. They had Corey Joseph inbound the ball. And guess what happened? Corey Joseph turned the ball over and gave the Celtics a chance to win the game with 6 seconds left. This is all I'm going to say about this. That kind of stuff right there has me thinking either 2 things. I have 2 takeaways from that, and it has to be one of the 2. It can't be nothing else. It has to be one of the 2. Either one, this coaching staff is just like makes massive mistakes late and don't even realize it, or 2, the stuff they tell us at the games is complete horse manure. Because after the games, we've been told like 3 or 4 times this season that from Dwayne Casey, I want my best inbounder on. I want my best inbounder on. Okay, you can't sit here and tell us that all year, and then in a key situation like that against what is likely the hottest team in the NBA, with you possibly being on the verge of having one of your best wins, if not the best of the season, against the Boston Celtics on their floor, you then go against that and pull in Corey Joseph and then have him turn the ball over when you sub in Killian Hayes and don't even put him on the ball. Like, it's either a massive blunder by the coaching staff, or you're telling me that what he's told us after the game is complete horse manure. Either one, take your pick. I hated it. It almost cost the Pistons the game, and I was very unhappy. It did not make any sense. It didn't make any sense. Why are you subbing in Killian Hayes if you're not subbing him to inbound the ball and make sure the ball gets in? Not to mention, you have a timeout. So not only did Dwayne Casey not call a timeout when it looked like it was starting to get close, Corey Joseph, the veteran, still forced a pass in and turned it over with the timeout left. Like, why? That's just my quick rant. That's all you guys will get today. That's my quick rant. Again, it's either a massive blunder late that could have cost the Pistons by the coaching staff, or two, you're telling us now that everything you say to us at the game is basically BS, because that whole inbounder stuff went completely out the window in one of the biggest games, one of the bigger moments for the Pistons this season. So take your pick. One of you guys got to let me know, because I don't know. But anyways, All-Star game, All-Star weekend is coming up. What am I interested in? So I'm going to let you guys know now. I'm not interested in the three-point competition anymore. I used to be really interested in that stuff when I was younger. Don't like it now. The dunk competition has slowly gotten worse and worse and worse. The Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine one is probably the best dunk contest I've ever watched. It just hasn't been that good since. Not to mention my boy Aaron Gordon got screwed last time he was on there. That's probably why I don't like it. I can't believe he didn't win that one. What was it, like 3 years ago? Well, he got screwed. It was his last time in it. But yeah, that slam dunk competition, I'm not really too interested anymore. Skills challenge used to be cool for me. I don't really like that anymore either. I feel like those three little things right there, it's just not that fun. But I will be paying attention to it this year. It'll be the only thing I probably pay mega attention to, is like make sure to watch. Usually I just record it and I'll watch like some of the fun stuff after, or I'll just turn it on the TV and I'll do other stuff while it happens. I'll be having my eye on Cade Cunningham in these skills challenge. Man, Cade, you got to bring this home. You got to win. You got to bring it home for the Rooks. You got to bring it home for Detroit, man. You're going against, what was it? It's Cade, the rookies, versus Antetokounmpo, the Antetokounmpo brothers. And then what is it, like the G League players, like 3 G League players, I think, or something. But yeah, Cade, you got to bring that home. You, Scotty, and who is it? It's you, Scotty, and what, Josh Giddey, I think it is. I forget who it is. But you guys got to bring that home, man. You got to take that win. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I know that Cade and Saddiq and Stu are all in the Rising Star. Is that even what they call it anymore? The Rising Stars Challenge. But I'm not gonna be watching that probably, because it's not fun anymore. Like when I was younger, it was rookies versus sophomores. Now they've done all this other BS to win. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not as cool. It's not as interesting. It's just stupid. I don't like it. I know, what is it? They have like 4 teams or something of like G Leaguers and 1 years and second year. Like it doesn't make sense no more. It's not fun. It was better when it was just rookies versus sophomores, kept it that simple. Like back when Greg Monroe was stealing alley-oop attempts from John Wall from being able to have fun and stuff like that. That was the stuff I lived for. That was the kind of fun I came for All-Star Weekend. That's the stuff the Brandon Knight versus Kyrie Irving, rookie versus sophomore thing. That stuff is fun. I don't know what they got going on, but I think they draft now. They like take a pool of players with G League guys, and they have like 4 like random dudes draft, whatever. You want to know another thing I used to love about All-Star Weekend? And you guys got to let me know what you guys are looking forward to in All-Star Weekend. If you guys like it or anything, or what's your guys' favorite thing, whatever. But I used to really love the celebrity game. But now, like, the guys who are in the celebrity game, and guys and girls, I don't know any of them. I don't know who the hell they are. I don't know if that's because I'm 24 now. Maybe I'm getting too old or something. I don't know these people. But I have to assume, yeah, it's just because I don't know them. And most people probably don't know them. So, I will say that the All-Star game is something I'm really interested in, because I really like the fact that they turned it into like the what is it called? They call it Elam or whatever. The score, the way they keep track of the score and decide who wins now, I think it makes it a lot more fun. The first year they did was a hell of a lot fun, dude. I love that game. That game was a lot of fun. So I'm actually looking forward to that. So let me know what you guys are looking forward to most in All-Star Weekend in the comments down below, or over at Twitter at Kuka Hill. So that's all I've got for you guys today. The Pistons have a great win against the Boston Celtics, 112-111 on their home floor, despite a massive questionable decision late with Corey Joseph inbounding the ball and a turnover that could have lost them the game. They still held on. They won the game. Jerami Grant hit a go-ahead game winner. Props to him. Cade, Jerami, and Saddiq all had a really good games, all 20-plus points. Kelly Olynyk had a good bounce-back game. Fun game by the Detroit Pistons. Fans, including myself, needed this kind of game because it was getting tough out there. It was getting tough. We need a fun game. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, it's the best way to support the podcast. Make sure you make Locked On Bets your second listen of every single day, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. And until the next one, I'll see you guys later. We're not going to have another Pistons game until next week on Thursday. We have a long break. We'll find some things to talk about. Don't worry. I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Until then, peace out, everybody.